It begins with a trembling voice, a desperate breath on the other end of the line. "911, what's your emergency?" the operator asks. But what comes next is not just a cry for help. It is a scream that would echo across America, replayed thousands of times, haunting everyone who heard it. This wasn't just another emergency call. It was the beginning of one of the most chilling and unforgettable true crime cases in modern American history. A case so disturbing that even years later, the very sound of that phone call can make your skin crawl. It begins with a trembling voice, a desperate breath on the other end of the line. "911, what's your emergency?" the operator asks. But what comes next is not just a cry for help. It is a scream that would echo across America, replayed thousands of times, haunting everyone who heard it. A woman's voice, frantic, gasping for air, whispering words that even the trained dispatcher struggles to understand. In the background, muffled noises, footsteps, maybe a struggle, and then silence. What most people don't realize when they pick up their phone to dial 3 simple numbers is that the operator on the other end becomes the last lifeline between life and death. But on that night, in that call, something darker was unfolding. It was not just an accident, not just a break-in, not just a domestic dispute. It was the prelude to a murder so brutal and mysterious that the sound of the call itself would become evidence, a chilling artifact in one of America's most unforgettable crimes. The story takes us back to the suburbs of a quiet American town, a place where neighbors waved at each other, where porch lights flickered on at dusk, and where crime seemed distant, something that happened in big cities, on the news, not here. But in reality, behind closed doors, fear was already brewing. The woman who made that 911 call, her life was spiraling into danger long before that night. She had felt the threats, sensed the shadows, maybe even seen them. And when her voice cracked on the line with the dispatcher, she knew this was her last chance. The operator tries to calm her down, speaking in that professional, steady tone they're trained to use. But panic has no volume control. It slips through in sobs, in half-sentences, in the unmistakable terror of someone who knows they are being hunted. She whispers, "He's here. Oh my God, he's here." Then the thud of something heavy, a crash, a scream cut off halfway. And then, for several seconds, only the operator's voice fills the void, calling her name, pleading for a response that never comes. By the time police arrive, the house is in chaos. The phone lies on the floor, still connected, as if mocking everyone who had listened helplessly. The woman is found unresponsive, brutally attacked. The neighbors claim they heard nothing. No gunshot, no breaking glass, no signs of intrusion. Whoever had been there knew exactly how to move like a shadow, how to strike with precision, and how to disappear without a trace. Detectives take over the scene, combing through every detail. A half-drunk glass of wine sits on the counter. A chair is knocked over. Her purse is still by the door. But the strangest part? Nothing seems stolen. This wasn't a robbery. This wasn't random. This was personal. Someone wanted her silenced. And that 911 call was the only clue she left behind. The recording becomes the centerpiece of the investigation. Again and again, experts analyze the background noises, slowing them down, amplifying, filtering. They swear they can hear a man's voice faintly in the background, maybe a name, maybe a threat. Some hear footsteps. Others claim they hear a door creak open. The chilling part? No two people agree on what exactly they're hearing. The call itself seems to play tricks on the mind, like a puzzle that refuses to solve itself. Media seizes on the story. News anchors replay the call night after night, warning viewers before airing it. What you are about to hear is disturbing. And yet millions listen, unable to turn away. That raw panic, that frozen moment of life and death, it hooked the entire nation. People debated in living rooms, on talk shows, online forums. Who was she running from? Why did no one hear her until it was too late? And the most chilling question of all? Was the killer listening too, as his crime became immortalized in a recording he could never erase? Investigators dig into her past. She wasn't some anonymous victim. She had a history, a trail of strained relationships and whispered fears. A boyfriend she had recently broken up with. A coworker who had been acting obsessively. Even an estranged family member who had resurfaced with grudges buried deep in time. Each one had motive. Each one had opportunity. But none of them left behind the evidence detectives desperately needed. Weeks turn into months. The case drags on. The 911 call becomes both a beacon and a curse. Some detectives believe the answer is buried inside those seconds of audio. Others fear it's nothing more than noise, leading them in circles. Then, just when the trail seems to go cold, a tip comes in. A neighbor swears they saw a shadow moving near the house that night. A figure that didn't belong. Someone wearing a hood. Someone watching from across the street. Police bring in suspects, one after another, playing the call for them during interrogation. Some flinch. Some break down. One man insists, "That's not me, I wasn't there." Another stares stone-faced, almost too calm. But still, no confession, no crack in the armor. The case remains suspended between truth and speculation while the haunting echo of that call refuses to fade. Years later, technology advances. Forensic audio experts revisit the tape with new tools, peeling back layers of static like archaeologists brushing dust from a fossil. And this time, they hear something different, a single word, a name. It is faint, buried deep, almost imperceptible, but it is there. Suddenly, everything aligns. The victim wasn't just calling for help, she was naming her killer with her final breath. Arrests are made. Trials follow. Courtrooms fill with spectators, all waiting to finally put a face to the phantom behind the call. The prosecution plays the recording again, the courtroom going still as that desperate voice fills the air. Jurors close their eyes, some fighting back tears, others visibly shaken. And when the faint whisper of the name comes through the speakers, all eyes turn to the accused. His face tightens, his jaw clenches. For a brief second, the mask slips. The verdict is guilty. The killer is sentenced. But the haunting doesn't end there, because unlike most crimes, this one is immortalized in sound. That final call lives on in archives, in documentaries, in the collective memory of a nation. For many, it's not just a case file, it's the voice of someone who refused to go quietly, who left behind her own testimony in the only way she could. And even today, if you listen closely, you can still hear it. A voice clawing through the static, a warning, a plea, a reminder that sometimes the most chilling evidence is not what you see, but what you hear. The 911 call that America still can't forget.